All right, let's meet you.
My name is Feishayo Alayande. I'm the Executive Secretary for Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. So thank you for having me.
For Lagosians who do not fully understand what we do, I want you to tell us, give us a simple overview of the mandates of the agency and how it's going to help Lagosians.
Okay. Our mandate is very simple. The E in our name stands for employment, and it's a very intentional one. Governor Sanwo-Olu and his predecessor had set up LSETF in 2016, so we're going to be 10 years next year by God's grace, to basically solve the employment problems or attempt to solve the employment problems for Lagosians, creating an enabling environment where anyone that wants to work can have access to that work. So we serve as a conduit between the employment side of labor, the supply side, and the demand side of labor, providing job opportunities where possible, helping those job opportunities come to life, and supporting the entrepreneurship ecosystem as well. So that's pretty much us in a nutshell.
But there are some kind of events in Lagos, which is access to funding.
Yeah.
The biggest problem for small businesses. So how easy is it to access funding with your agency?
Absolutely right. I think access to finance is one of the biggest interventions that we typically use to support the entrepreneurship ecosystem. I'll backtrack a bit just to give some context. So we have 5 core interventions by which we deliver on our mandate of job creation in Lagos State. The first one is access to finance. Second one is access to infrastructure. We have access to business support and capacity building. Also access to employability skills training, and then access to the tech ecosystem. All of our interventions or any programs we do fall into any one of these 5 buckets. And you're right in highlighting access to finance being a major one for entrepreneurs. And from inception to date, the governor has been very key that any loans that we give has to remain at single digits. So right now, any of LSETF loans that you find out there or you get aware of has to be at 9%, and that's 9% per annum, 9%. And if you calculate that, that's about 0.75 a month. So the whole idea is saying that no one should feel like they're not supported when it comes to financing, provided that what they're looking for, the capital they need, either to start up or scale their business, falls between 50,000 Naira and 5 million Naira. So the maximum loan size we can give any one individual that's resident in Lagos is 5 million Naira. But all of those ticket items or loan size are at 9% per annum, single digit. So that's the first one. We'll realize that a lot of entrepreneurs we engage every day, access to funding or access to finance is really not the only issue. Some of them actually have other ways to access finance. They don't have the structure. And that's where we come in. So under our business support program, we basically go back to the basics. How do you keep your money? How do you ensure that you keep your business funding and your personal funding separate? How do you record your books? How do you ensure that you're positioning your business and setting up for success? How do you hire people? How do you retain staff? How do you ensure there's accurate bookkeeping? How do you sell your product? So all of those things, that structure, that governance, registering your business, all of that falls under our business support program. So I would say in terms of the access to finance is in 2 parts, the actual funding, and then how do you sustain that funding? So those are the interventions that we do to support the entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Practically, anybody can just walk into LSETF and then access.
Yes, and it is really, we have a process by which we go through, so you can apply online, but we also understand that not every one of the residents can access things online. So you can go to any of our liaison offices. We're currently in about 28 locations across Lagos State, 20 local governments, and about 8 LCDA. So you can walk into any of them and then speak to who we call our liaison officers. They're staff of ours who are there to help you, walk you through the process, but every application still ends up online, and you can go on www.lsetf.ng to find out more. But the requirements are all there, and the same requirements we give anybody that wants to access our loans. First things first is we need to know who you are. Very obvious. Are you a resident of Lagos State? And your LASTRA ID is the starting point. So you need to show us your LASTRA ID. And then if you don't have that LASTRA ID, we can point you to the LASTRA team. They're a sister agency of ours, and they will willingly register you immediately. So your LASTRA ID, then we need to know who you are from a banking perspective, your BVN number, your NIN number, or any other official identification of Lagos State and Nigeria at large. We need to know that as well. And then if it's a business that's already existing, we need to understand the viability of the business. It's not about you being successful or not, but just making sure that that loan that you're collecting, you have the capacity to repay that loan. So we'll ask for your bank statements, we'll ask some history of your turnover and your sales, just so we can assess what it is you do on a daily basis. And that would help our credit team to make a decision. Then we also check your credit history. I'm sure everyone by now understands that organizations like CRC, they actually have a central registry that anyone that's serious about finance must be plugged into it. So we'll check through your BVN that you give us that this man know that's coming to us, is he credit worthy? Would he pay back the loan? And we tell our beneficiaries, if you're owing somebody else from before, we will find out. So we encourage you to clear that debt first so that you can access more funding. Because guess what? Even as you're successful with that loan, if you do not pay back within the time and you don't communicate to us, we have the obligation to then put your name on the credit bureau. So we educate people that way to let them understand that it's important that you pay back the loan so you stand a chance of getting more loan in the future. And then we also highlight that if you don't pay back the loan, you're limiting the funding that's available to somebody else. So it's in everyone's best interest as Lagosians that it's not a grant, it's not free money, it's not national key. It's for everyone to pay back the loan. But absolutely, as long as you're residents of the state, you are allowed and you should be encouraged to apply for a loan if you need it and you meet all the requirements.
Okay. Now, take me to the question, in addition to what
Okay,
you said.
okay.
This year outside, people talked about the fact that there is people who know who
Mm,
that get this on.
yeah,
Now, how transparent is it? And also, what are the time limits
yeah.
once I come to you for
Mm,
funding for my business? So, is it like up to a year? Is it
mm,
like 2 years? Is it more
mm,
for me to be able to get
mm-hmm.
it after you've
So,
been able to go through
yeah,
all what
yeah.
you're taking up?
So the simple answer is absolutely not. You don't need to know anybody to apply to LSCTF loans, LSCTF funds. I still met a guy 2 months ago that literally had taken a loan with LSCTF 2 years ago when he just got into Lagos. He said he'd not know anybody and he's paid back the loan. And I always like to hear stories like that because it affirms what we do. I meet people from inception, 2016, 2017, 2018, that said, my business now, I'm on branch 5. I'm in 2 countries now. People that are growing with LSATF, they do not know anybody. So that record, that track record, that positive story, we want to maintain it because on my mandate as I stand, or LSCT's mandate and my role, we need to ensure that there's no bureaucracy. We need to ensure 100% transparency. And that's why it's all online. So you literally can follow your application all the way through. So you create a profile, upload your details, and then you get communicated to based on the different steps in the process. You don't need to know anybody to do that. And that's what it is. In terms of the turnaround time, it's still a work in progress. I know that's one of the feedback that we get a lot, that it takes too long. On average, we're looking at about a month to 2 months, but it's because of our process and which we are still working to improve that process on. But right now, you don't need to know anybody. You just need to apply online and follow the process too. And if you can't apply online, visit any of our liaison offices. The addresses are on our website, www.lsctf.ng, and you should be able to walk in to apply. And even if you don't want to apply for a loan, just even finding out what we do, you can walk into any of those liaison offices.
People are concerned about women in society.
Mm-hmm.
You have maybe like an opportunities for them.
Yeah.
What are those opportunities?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they also having access to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
something like something
Yeah. Yeah. So
targeting women.
so our loans and programs are sector agnostic and i.e. anybody can apply. But in the past we have had initiatives that are specific to women, and more recently under our Lagos Innovate program, for anybody, any youth or anyone that's in tech, we encourage them to join the program because we actually had one that was focused on women funders, women founders, put them in touch with female mentors to help them structure the idea and get it to a minimum viable product so we can get access to more funding beyond the LSCTF. And that's called our Female Founders Program. We've had 2 cohorts now and it's been a success. So we're going to have more cohorts that's focused only on women. Beyond that, we have some training programs that are targeted at women. And we have one with our partner that's currently ongoing in the construction space, where we're targeting female tilers. Anyone that wants to learn how to tile is a woman. It's an opportunity for you to train, learn it, and get access to a tool that can then help you start up your own business in tiling or help you work for somebody else. Those are the current programs that we have open. We have a series of conversations ongoing on what else we can do to support the female, residents of Lagos State. I'm a woman. 51% of our team are women. So we're constantly looking to change the narrative on how we can support women more.
Beyond funding,
Yeah.
training,
Mm-hmm.
skills development,
Yes.
and critical.
Yes.
So, in what areas are you coming and how do
Mm.
you find it? Ability to partner
Yeah.
private sector and
Enjoying
ensuring that
that. Yes.
people of their skill
Mm-hmm.
level
Mm-hmm.
according to the very
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for that. So I must confess that all of our interventions and the work we do, we can't do it alone. We need partners. So this is a call to negotiate that anyone in Lagos that we can't do it alone. The government cannot do it alone. And we've been thankful because we actually have some partners that have been so good to us. They've seen our mandate, they've seen our vision, the objectives that we want to create in Lagos State, and they roll with it because they agree with it. We have multilateral agency partners, DFI partners. We have commercial banks, both local and global, who have either given us opportunities to fund a certain sector or segment or train a certain sector or segment and then even place. So remember that our interventions or support goes to the entrepreneurs, but also the job seekers. Not everyone is caught out for entrepreneurship. For those that are looking to work, we work with partners to upskill them, reskill them, and then place them in jobs. Very recently, I was at a graduation ceremony. It's partnership with GIZ, one of our partners, and then Eighth Gear, another of our partners in Bagada, I believe, yes. And we actually graduated about 90 students in digital photography and the digital space, digital media. And it was so amazing to hear their stories because without the opportunity, they would not have known that one, they were still in that area, and then two, they could be placed. So all of them pretty much already had internships at that graduation ceremony. So they have 3 to 6 months opportunities to practice what they've learned and then master their crafts. And some of them from there can open their own business tomorrow. Some of them can go and work for somebody else. But the whole idea is that if you need to upskill or reskill, we have programs that you can plug into and then you can then secure a job afterwards with the help of our partners.
I know definitely there are many challenges in this.
Mm.
Can you tell us some of the challenges?
Yeah.
And in addition to that, can you let us know if the loan is given and people are not paying, what are
Yeah.
the ways
Hmm.
put in place to ensure that
Those are two questions, but it's okay. I'll answer them. So thank you for that. I think any serious organization, whether private, public, would always have challenges. Any team would also have challenges. It's not impossible. But what I always say is how you overcome the challenges is really what matters, and that's what sticks in people's minds. So I think our challenges are pretty much opportunities as well. The first one is people highlighting that we need to know somebody to apply to LSCCF. So that stigma, that perception, we keep facing it every day. But in the same vein as we get it, we throw it back and say, actually, no, you corrected that. That's not true. And we amplify that narrative or change that narrative through social media, through conversations such as these, where people realize that the government is for you and the government is for everyone. If everyone fails, we all fail. If everyone's successful, we're all successful. So it's not about any one individual or who you know. So that's the first things first. So that perception, it's a work in progress. I think the second thing will probably just be how people we see some feedback on social media and we're like, hey God, give us time to respond. People are so I don't want to use the word entitled and permit me to use that word, but people feeling that is my right. And I'm like, no problem, because we're all working together. But there's a process. So I feel like us trying to get people to realize that there's a process for a reason, we have to try twice as hard. My team and I twice as hard to get people to understand why there's a process. But eventually, we tend to win people over. They're like, okay, okay, oh, me too, I can see why this is like this. So I think those are the two challenges I see, but we've overcome most of them so far. I think a lot of people are understanding who LSCTF is. A lot of people understand what we stand for and what our programs are. But is there room for growth? Absolutely. There's room for growth every single day. And I tell my team, any feedback you get is good feedback, whether it's negative or positive, because it helps us do better and it helps us develop money as a team. Yeah.
now maybe I should rephrase that question. After accessing funding,
Yeah.
there are those that who do not who fail
Correct,
to pay
correct. And that's the second part of the question.
Yeah,
Yes. So I hear you on that. So
what are the measures?
Measures,
put in place to
exactly.
ensure-
Thank you.
Is it that you blacklist them or
So we don't do that outrightly. We don't even do that. So I'll give you some statistics. We ended up last year, 2024, with a 90% collection rate. That means 90%. That means for the pool of funds that we given at that point in time, we got 90% of them back. That's fantastic. Whenever we even tell any of our stakeholders, they're like quite pleased with that. But it wasn't an easy journey to get to that point because we've come from a long way. But like I said, constant engagement, knowledge sharing sessions, using opportunities like this to let people understand our requirements and why we ask for them, and let people understand the process. So anybody that comes into LSCTF take a loan, we let them know the requirements, we do our assessment. So if we do our assessment and you qualify, it means that at the point when we administered the loan, you were credit worthy, and we saw that your ability to repay the loan was successful and it was within a particular what we call affordability threshold. However, if things change along the way, as we normally should appreciate because we're human beings, we tell people, come and tell us, let us know, so we can work with you to understand how we can manage the situation for you and adjust certain parameters of the loan. That's the first things first. It's when it doesn't do that and the repayment fails. Remember that we collect their card details up front so that we can collect directly from their bank card. If someone is not able to, if we're not able to get any funds in that bank card, we follow up with calls. We actually get our liaison officers to reach out to them, whether their place of work or business. So we follow up and we try and engage. If that then fails, we have a whole process by which we collect. It's only when we now get to a point where we're not able to collect the loans that we then go to CRC to record that individual as owing LSCTF. So there's certain steps that we would take before we get to that point. But we would always attempt to reach out, giving opportunities for day 1, day 10, or whatever to say, look, how can you repay within this period? We explore all avenues before we then either have to go to court or small claims court or whatever, or we have to then go to the opportunity. And to be honest with you, even though people look at it as blacklisted, it's not really about blacklisting alone. It's saying that if this person doesn't pay back the loan, you can't trust them to access anything else. So all of the entire financial ecosystem, even public, is plugged into that central CRC and any other credit bureau assessment center. So it's not even about anyone you go to will be doing that as well. Any serious financial institution, anyways. Yeah.
I know there have been several success stories from people of businesses. But since you came on board as ES of LSCTF,
Yes.
can you just share us one or two success stories that people of businesses that maybe access the fund and then they've been paying for all the way and
Yeah. So there's a particular lady. I'll say her name because I only saw her. Yesterday at an event. Aggies. She's a very prominent one of LSCTF. She's actually plugged into like 3 or 4 programs. Whether it's market access, whether it's Lagos Innovates, loans as well. But the beauty of her story is that not only has she been successful in paying back her loan, she's actually now giving back by training other people. So she's now part of what we call our volunteer network. Well-meaning Lagosians that want to give back by either giving free training, free masterclasses. This is a beneficiary of ours that has now successfully concluded, but now wants to give back through LSCTF. It's a fantastic story. And then she's gone from maybe 1 or 2 staff to like 5, 6 staff because she's been able to scale her business and grow her business. This is like one of the success stories. Another one, I don't remember the name right now, but it was a story I heard last year on our female founder programs. Again, women, supporting women. She had highlighted that when she started the program, she had 4 staff. When she concluded this program, she had 20 staff. And bear in mind that she was not the first, second, or third. In fact, I think she was like position 5 or 6. But she was able to take everything she learned on the program: mentorship, how to structure your business, legal masterclass, how to, just how to make sure that you are set up for success. She was able to implement all of those things in her business, and she realized that she had a lot more room to be able to use her fund in the right way. And before we knew, the time we spoke to her again, she had 20 staff. So it's almost like the success story doesn't only have to be in repaying back your loan. Is what are you doing with the funding, or what are you doing with the intervention, or what are you doing with the training, what are you doing with the support that has helped you scale your business so that you're set up for success. That is a success story, and we're happy to be part of it. But we can only tell those success stories through the mouth of our beneficiaries. So we call them citizens of LSCTF. So we encourage them to share that. Please, the more you share, it's not even for us, for you as well. And the governor sees it, Lagosians as white see it, and even our partners see it as well. It helps us say that the intervention is working, and together we shall all succeed by God's grace.
Beyond all this progress, I know definitely it's a progress because it's not easy.
Yes.
Progress. And unemployment are still about
yes, you're right.
So what are the strategies are you putting in place to tackle this? I know we can't do it all. It's not possible.
Yeah, we can't do it all. Yes, we can't do it all.
But the little people keep trooping into Lagos because of the success story and so.
You are spot on. The other day I saw a clip somewhere in by the Lekki Free Trade Zone. There was like a truck with like maybe 20, even like two or three of men, and they all had knapsacks and they're waiting for job, like literally lined up. And I'm like, and immediately RBVN, like RBVN, like they already said that they have their requirements, and it just hit me like that point you highlighted. The people coming every day, and we can't do anything about it because the Nigerians are brothers and sisters like us. However, what I should say that we have directly done through the Prime Ministry, Ministry of Work Creation and Employment, and then Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget is what we call the Labour Management Information System. We actually launched this last year. Governor Solu launched it at our employment summit in Eco Hotel in July last year. And it's a platform that actually pulls in the demand side of labor, i.e. the employers, and the supply side of labor, the employees. And it basically gives that credible information, say where are the gaps? What do we need to do more to either upskill the supply side of labor to make sure that they are relevant and the lessons they're learning are relevant? What do we need to work with employers to make sure they provide a conducive environment so people can work? What are the soft skills we need to give these employees to know that you have to be professional, you have to maximize the opportunity. So that platform is such a big one, it's bigger than you and I, and we're calling everyone in the employer space to make people realize that we all have a role to play to ensure that unemployment is a thing of the past and life reduced. Because guess what? I keep saying to people that there's a very strong line, and one of my colleagues only says this a lot, from education to employment to security. We need to address education and employment so that insecurity doesn't become an issue, so that people are not on the street and it becomes a problem. We're now trying to patch it and we're trying to put police on the road. No, we need to get people gainfully employed, well educated first, gainfully employed, so they don't become a nuisance or become a problem tomorrow. And that's everyone's problem, not just you, not just myself, not just the governor. Every resident of Lagos State has a role to play in ensuring unemployment is down. But with the LMIS, we're able to do that, and our partners and our parent ministry and also other stakeholders in Lagos State to ensure that we keep putting the word out there that there's certain factors in labor that we all need to consider and prioritize.
What level of support are you getting from the government, the state,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of maybe budgetary allocation,
Mm-hmm.
trying to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that you are able to do your work?
Of course, of
So,
course,
and
of
also some
course.
of the partners as well.
Yes, yes,
And
of course.
also, which is critical, just
Mm.
have team members,
Mm.
like level of motivation. Because it's not easy
It's
to
not easy.
relate to
Yeah,
people out
it's
there
not
who are
easy.
unemployed and some that
Mm.
are really support. So, how to be able to carry them along,
Yeah,
ensure that everybody is safe, and then we are doing this job to
absolutely.
for the greater population.
Lagos, yes, yes. First things first, without a doubt, Governor Sowolu was one that obviously set us up. So a lot of our funding comes from the governor. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without him. In addition to support that we get from the House of Assembly, our Prime Ministry, Ministry of Economic and Budget. So in terms of that initiating flow of capital, that's where that stems from the government. But then even as we have that starting point, we will not be able to speak to certain partners, we will not be able to knock on certain doors without the starting point from the government. And that's what helps us, because we have partners that would say, oh, we'll come on board, we know your governor, we'll come on board because we know this agency. So it's a mixed reaction that we get, but it's a positive one. So I think that will be the biggest one. And then just amplifying the work that we do. Certain engagements that we have, we obviously invite the media, we invite media, both public and private, and then they also amplify the work that we do. And that also helps as well, so that we can reach other partners that may not necessarily be in the event to understand, actually, I can plug into this, I can work with the state government through LSCTF to deliver on this objective that aligns with ours as well. So those are the kind of support that we get. To my team, yes, you're right, it's not easy. I think the biggest change for us has been, everyone has said it, in terms of inflation over the last 2-3 years, the rise in petrol prices, it's affected us as well in terms of my staff. So we're constantly looking for ways to motivate them, looking for ways with my board, because I have a board that helps to provide the governance and the structure which LSETF operates under. And I have an ex-school as well. Myself and my ex-school lead the team, or, drive interventions within the team. So it's just literally, how do we get the teams motivated? How do we ensure there's a positive culture? I'm big on ensuring that everyone feels like their voice can be heard. Everyone feels like their opinions matter. Everyone feels like the ideas that they bring to the table are relevant, as long as it speaks to our core mandate and helps us deliver on our objectives collectively. So those would be the ways by which I keep the team engaged. And then with the support of our governor, we're able to keep going every single day. Thank you.
Like Oliver Twist.
I know, right? You keep coming for more. Absolutely.
All right. Now, I want you to get us out in just simple terms. Tell us how the website can access you. Maybe through their phone number, their contact.
So fantastic. The starting point will be checking us out on our social media, LSETF, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Twitter. We're all there. We're always there. Just type in Lagos City Employment Trust Fund and engage. But then besides that, our website, www.lsctf.ng, that's probably your first point of call because it has all of our programs there. It also has all of our different locations listed. So if anyone is understanding, I live in Surulere, where is there an LSCTF? Or I'm from the local government, is there an LSCTF? It's important you have visibility of where we are located at, and you can find that on our website. I'll say that again, www.lsctf.ng. When you go on there, you can see all of the locations, you can see contact numbers, you can see addresses of my different teams. But if you're unable to do that physically, please still go online to find out more about what we do, who we are, and what we stand for. And by God's grace, we shall deliver on our mandate.
Your message to the
Yes. Yes. So message to Lagosians out there is you're not alone. We see you, we support you. We don't have a choice. You will scale and grow by God's grace. But I would encourage Lagosians to speak up. There's no point mumbling in a corner in your community. Reach out to us. Let us know how we can support, and we will find a way to support you. Resources are limited. I'm not going to deny that, but the opportunities are there, and it's left to you to maximize them. But again, you're not alone. We're here to support you. I have a very passionate team. I have a team that genuinely love what they do in terms of working in the impact states, and that helps us every single day to come in. In fact, the issues I had today, I can't even name them. It's such a varied day that I've had, but I'm excited because I'm solving certain problems. So that solution mindset is what you find across board for all my team members. So please continue to spread the word on what we are, who we are, what we do, because that helps us to understand what the interventions are and what else we should be doing. Second thing will be, please never stop giving feedback. When you hear anything about us, please share the feedback because it gives us the opportunity to address them head on. We don't say we are experts, or we don't say we know it all. But what we would say is we will address each feedback as they come and do better. That we can commit to. But we need your help, and our partners are like to do better. My name is Feishayo Alayande, Executive Secretary, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Thank you to the Ask Lagos team for having me. If you want to find out more, please follow them on all their social media handles, because it's important you understand what Lagos is doing and how Lagos can help you and support you. They've got a YouTube page, they've got Instagram, they've got LinkedIn, they've got Twitter. Ask Lagos, very simple, you can't forget that. But ultimately stay plugged in so you can have all of your questions answered, and with their support, we would all do better by God's grace. Thank you.
Ask Lagos, building a better Lagos, one conversation at a time.